Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today's message has come from the beautiful Lucy again, who sent me this wonderful question that I just felt was such a great question. It got me thinking about all the stuff I love talking into, and I felt like I needed to deliver her response in a video format because I know that it's going to be valuable for her, and I hope so much that it's going to be valuable for you guys as well. And so what I wanted to bring to you was firstly her question, but also I want to talk into attachment theory because I feel like this is a really great way for us to start with our self-awareness. And ultimately, that is always the foundation to empowerment and to moving forward from where you are and making the changes. So, beautiful Lucy out there, I hope you're watching. I'm not sure of the time difference. If not, I hope you're catching the recording. But she wrote me a long question and gave me lots of details, but I wanted to just summarize it. Basically, she was telling me that she feels on top of the world when she's single, but then she gets totally insecure when she's with someone else and when she's entering into a new relationship. And she was really battling with that. She was really wondering, you know, like, why is it that when I'm single, I'm just like so positive and free and excited about life, and then when I get into relationship, all these sort of triggers come up and I start getting like really insecure and I don't trust them and all of this stuff that she was sort of talking into so beautifully and so openly. So much love to you, Lucy. But yeah, so this actually got me thinking. I'm a really big believer that we need to first have self-awareness. We need to be able to identify what's going on for us so that we can actually have the tools to move forward and find the tools that we need dependent on how we're showing up with our self-awareness. So I wanted this question was definitely all around identifying what's your attachment style when it comes to relationships. And ultimately, there was these two amazing people, psychologists, Mary Ainsworth and John Bowlby, who did a lot of research and study into attachments with children and their caregivers. And ultimately, what they discovered, particularly I think it was John Bowlby, was that the same sort of attachments that they were witnessing within these children and their caregivers definitely operating in our adult relationships. So it's a really interesting way to think about relationships and our attachments. And ultimately, when we get into a relationship as adults with a partner, we have these same styles of attachment that that originally showed up as we were children. And so that's what I want to introduce you guys to. And as I move through the 4 attachment styles, I want you to sort of have a think about where you feel you sit, and potentially if you're in relationship or you want to reflect on a past relationship, you know, see the people in your lives, see if you know where they're sort of fitting in. It's really great because we can not only get self-awareness for where we're at so that we can move forward, but also be able to have more compassion for others and understand that you know, we all have one of these styles present. So I'm going to jump into it. And so before I do, I'll just say a really quick hello because I love having you here and I always want to make you feel appreciated because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without you. So Moises, you're back. I love it. Thank you for being here. And Ellen and Judy, I'm doing really well. Hope you are too. And Spadey and Jelma and Kimberly, thank you so much for joining me. And Robert and Lewis and Gabrielle and Shane and Supreet. And Ahmed and Samantha and Liat and Arta and Matt. God, there's so many of you guys today. I love it. And Jen, yes, relationships tend to trigger what we fear. Yes, definitely. And we're going to get into that. And Judy and David and Timothy and Shay and Cameron. Awesome, guys. I love having you here. I just want to make sure that you feel appreciated for being here because I so do appreciate you. And let's jump into it. So, firstly, there is, like I mentioned, the 4 styles of adult attachment in our relationships. And the first one I'm going to talk into is what we call a secure attachment. So this style of attachment is ultimately what we're all hopefully striving for. So this style of having a secure attachment is really when we are having positive thoughts about ourselves, we have high self-esteem, and we're also having positive thoughts about others. You know, we're trusting in others, we're seeing the best in others, and that's what sort of generates this secure attachment style. Ultimately, it's really feeling comfortable with both having intimacy and interdependence. You guys have heard me talking into the dependence model by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's sort of like that interdependence. And if you haven't already, I will link that Facebook Live I've done on his work so that you guys have another sort of framework to sort of overlap with what we're talking about today. And hopefully that helps things sink in. But ultimately, this is a secure attachment style that comes from having great maybe role models or experiences in relationship as we develop and mature and grow up. You know, we're sort of given the warmth and the affection that we crave and desire, and it's sort of an abundance of love, and where that sort of secure attachment comes from. But what I want to mention as we move through this is just today's really about identifying where you're at, but I want to make sure that you know and you have a growth mindset that no matter where you see yourself situated throughout these 4 attachment styles, I want you to know that you are here gaining the self-awareness that you need to make any changes that you so desire. So for those of you out there lucky enough to already be in that secure attachment where you feel really comfortable having deep levels of intimacy with another person without losing yourself, and you also have that interdependence without shutting people out. Sorry, the independence without shutting people out, or you could call that interdependence, like I was speaking into. You know, this is a beautiful place to be, and where we can all get to if we are willing to own where we are, and we're willing to do the work and build the self-awareness to grow into this secure attachment style. The next 3 that I'm going to move through, they're all classed as insecure attachment styles, but they all have a different name, and I'm going to take you through those now. So the first of the insecure attachment styles is what we call anxious preoccupied. And this one really comes from a negative thoughts about the self, yet positive thoughts about others. So it's sort of like people with that anxious preoccupied style sort of put themselves in this pit and others on this pedestal. And ultimately, they're seeking high levels of intimacy and approval and responsiveness from their attachment figure. That might be the partner, parent, whoever they've created that attachment around. They're always seeking, that high levels of intimacy, approval, responsiveness. And but they can tend to become overly dependent. This is where you sort of find the codependency coming into play. They doubt their own worth, and they tend to blame themselves for the lack of response that they're getting from their attachment figure or partner, if we're talking into relationship. They do tend to be highly emotionally expressive, and they really tend to engage in a lot of worry and become quite impulsive in their relationships, trying to always, gain more approval, gain more attachment or intimacy. And they feel very uncomfortable without a relationship. They very much so identify with their relationship, and that's where, guys, I've sort of spoken into, say, let's look at secure attachment as 2 circles, but they have like this overlap in the middle. So they're 2 individuals who are really comfortable with their independence, but they recognize the value of coming together and sharing that middle ground in the middle. Whereas with these other insecure models, I'm going to take you through the circles. I wish I need a whiteboard today, but with this anxious preoccupied attachment style, it's more like their circles are completely overlapped. Like there's no independence. They feel really uncomfortable with that. So the relationship becomes their identity, and that's why they tend to be quite needy and really like always seeking that approval and response and intimacy with that other person, and it can get kind of unhealthy. That's one of the insecure attachment styles. Then we move on to the dismissive avoidant attachment style. And this one is where they tend to have positive thoughts about the self, but negative thoughts about others. So they tend to be, they desire a high level of independence. They tend to be kind of distrusting of others. And also they kind of like just avoid attachment altogether if they can. They view themselves as kind of like self-sufficient, and they deny needing closeness in relationships a lot of the time. They get quite defensive and tend to suppress and hide their feelings, and they tend to deal with rejection by sort of just distancing themselves by whoever they're receiving that feeling of rejection from. So that's kind of like the opposite from the anxious preoccupied style. That dismissive avoidant is like the two circles, they need to stay separate. You know, we don't need any overlap. And that's two is an insecure attachment style, where, yeah, like I said, they're feeling more positive about themselves and negative about others. And it too is an unhealthy dynamic because they're closing themselves off from intimacy and connection and depth in their relationships. And funnily enough, these two attachment styles often end up being together. So, you know, that anxious preoccupied, that really wanting the overlap, complete overlap of those two circles, and with that dismissive avoidant wants no overlap, you know, so the opposites attract, you know, that's that whole saying, and creates this whole very unhealthy dynamic when people don't know where they're situated, they don't have the self-awareness, and also they feed into each other's fears, like the anxious preoccupied person trying to take the independence away from the dismissive avoidant, and the dismissive avoidant refusing to be responsive and build that intimacy with their anxious preoccupied partner. So I hope this is all resonating with you guys. Definitely let me know. Any questions, comments, I will get to them, but I just want to tie this off for you with the last of the attachment styles, and then I will respond to every single one of your questions there. So the last one is called the fearful avoidant. Now, this attachment style is having a negative thoughts about the self and negative thoughts about others. This one is kind of has really mixed feelings when it comes to their thoughts around close relationships. They ultimately desire to have emotional closeness, but at the same time, they feel really uncomfortable with having that, you know, that emotional closeness. So it's like they want it, they desire it, but they feel really uncomfortable with it. And it's they kind of view themselves as unworthy of the responsiveness of their attachment figure, and they don't trust the attachment, that they don't trust the attachment figure. So that be that the partner, the parent. So it's kind of like they don't feel worthy of responsiveness, and they also don't trust the attachment figure, so they get in this really confused zone, and they tend to also be quite dismissive and suppressive of their own emotional feelings, and they seek less intimacy, just like the dismissive avoidant. They're both kind of like, you know, closing off to depth of intimacy. But these kind of people who have this fearful avoidant style, they tend to be the kind of people who have experienced trauma that they haven't yet overcome. They haven't moved through, you know. Oftentimes these people have experienced, some trauma like sexual abuse, or even it doesn't have to be that deep. It could be just, you know, our traumas are subjective. So how you felt as a child and the meanings that you created as a child as to how you were brought up and so forth can create this kind of attachment style, that fearful avoidant, where you have negative self-thoughts and you have negative thoughts about others as well. So today I want you to be thinking about each of these 4 attachment styles. I want you to think about where you honestly are situated currently, and this is the first step. This is the foundational step for knowing where you are, so that you can therefore have the launching pad of moving towards a more secure attachment style, which is how we build really healthy relationships and dynamics. And for beautiful Lucy out there who had this question, you know, Lucy, I want you to be really thinking about this, coupled with not only identifying where you are situated in those 4 attachment styles, but also, sometimes, dependent on the stage that we are in our lives, we actually need that time. Maybe you are being alerted to the fact that you actually need some time to just be with you. Maybe now is the time where you need your independence. You need to just focus on yourself. I'm a big believer in trusting in your internal wisdom. And if you feel really vibrant, great, positive, flowing, like you're growing right now in this time where you are single, and when you think about being in relationship, or you fall into a relationship and you're feeling kind of insecure and you're feeling not great and you're kind of losing your energy and that positivity, I would not only say check out what attachment style you're currently situated in, but also coupled with just being kind to yourself and recognizing that maybe now is the time that you need to just have with you. You need to just focus on yourself. We all go through these stages in life, and I'm a big believer in taking that time out for you so that you can get yourself into a beautiful place, so that when the right person does come along, or you're open to experiencing that, you've set yourself up with a sturdy foundation, because ultimately it is our relationship with self that is the foundation to any relationship. And if that's on shaky grounds, then your relationship's going to be on shaky grounds. And I don't mean to say that you can't grow and expand and build your relationship with self in a dynamic of relationship as well. But I do want you to just build your self-awareness and trust yourself, trust your inner wisdom, trust its guidance, and tap into that and do some introspective work to see whether now is the time where you just need to focus on you, and you don't need a relationship right now. You just need to focus on you, and that's why you're feeling so positive and free right now. Or maybe you just need to do some work on your insecurities, and maybe that does involve having a partner to bounce off of. And you need to work through and move through your attachment style so that you can enter a more secure dynamic and enter that stage of interdependence. So guys out there, I really hope that today's message has resonated with you. I hope it's been of value. If you guys want me to talk more into this sort of stuff, definitely be asking me your questions, because Lucy asked me this phenomenal question, and that's why I'm delivering this particular message to you guys today. And really hope that was valuable to you as well, Lucy. Thank you so much for your beautiful question and your openness. I appreciate it so much. And now I'm going to check in with you guys and see how you're going. And definitely, like I said, drop any questions, comments below. I want to get to them for you. And where was I at? Cameron, nice to have you. And Arta, I'm not in the relationship, but I will listen. Maybe I can learn something from here to improve my future relationship. And I really hope you do. It doesn't matter if you're not in a relationship right now, this stuff is all about self-awareness, because ultimately, we don't need to be in relationship to learn about relationship. We need to have that great relationship with self, which comes from being self-aware and having that sturdy foundation. And so I hope that this message is going to be, you're going to take value from it, no matter whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, not looking for a relationship, or you are looking for a relationship. I really hope that you will utilize what we've gone through today to build your self-awareness, so that you can create not only a healthy relationship with somebody else, but also with yourself and the other people in your life. It's not these attachment styles aren't just with your intimate partner. They're also in your friendships, in your family relationships. And so it's always valuable. We're all in relationship of some form. So thank you so much for your comments there, Arta. And Moises, yes, you're back. I love it every day. And you're walking around the beautiful park. I love it. I love it. And Tavira, nice to have you. Sorry, I can't read what you've written there. I can only read English at this stage. Dennis, nice to have you. Cameron, will you be at UPW? I won't, but if you guys are going to be at Date with Destiny in Florida this year, make sure that if you see me, you come and give me a big hug. I would love to meet you. Yeah, definitely. And Cameron, I hope that you get maximum value out of UPW. Amazing event. I've been to many times. So thank you so much. And David from Chile, I love it. Awesome. Thank you for joining. And Melissa and Maggie and Rocky and Fiona and Kim and Mick, I believe it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Mick. I hope you're having a brilliant day. And Hyungal, thank you for joining. And Mark, awesome that you're finding this interesting, Moises. And Timothy, if you're attached to a relationship with someone that has passed away. Wow, what a great question. I love when you guys throw this stuff at me. So yeah, so, think about your attachment theory as how you are operating with your relationship with self. Now, attachment to a relationship with somebody that's passed away, I would say that we're focused on the loss. When it's a negative attachment, when we feel like that attachment to somebody who's passed away is sort of jeopardizing how we're showing up, it's sort of diminishing our way of being in the world right now, then it's unhealthy, right? So what we need to do is we need to shift our focus from all that's missing, from what we've lost, to actually the beauty and how that person's passing and everything we've got to experience with that beautiful person, how that is helping us to move forward to create a compelling future. And that is the struggle. And I honor you on this journey, Timothy. I really feel for you having that attachment to that beautiful person in your life who has passed away. But I encourage you to think about shifting your focus from what's missing and what's been lost to actually all that you've gained, the beauty, the lessons, the experiences, and how you can utilize everything positive to propel you forward to higher levels of your potential in both life and in love. And I love what Dr. D. Martini says, which is the lower we go, on the emotion in our life. Sorry, alarm just came up. Hope that didn't block anything. The lower we go in that emotional spectrum, the higher we can go as well. So it opens us up. So there's so much beauty to be had in grief, in sadness, in loss. But definitely making that shift in your psychology and your mindset to focus on all that you have and all the beauty. So hope that was valuable for you, Timothy. I really feel for you and honor that journey that you're on. Bernadette, nice to have you, and Emma and Marka and Gary, awesome. And I love, Timothy, that you're identifying with that anxious, preoccupied. I hope that you do some more introspective work around what we've discussed today, and I hope that builds more self-awareness for you so that you can empower yourself to decide how you want to move forward. And yes, Moises, grateful this is resonating. Angela, Helen, Manolo, Karan, Brett and Bobby, thank you for joining. And Jen, it's great advice to always take time out for yourself. This is integral even when you are in a relationship. Most definitely getting to that space of interdependence where you feel totally comfortable with intimacy and depth with another person, coupled with feeling totally comfortable with having your independence and allowing them to have the same. Definitely, Jen, thank you for sharing and for being here. And Rayul, nice of you to join me. And Brett, thank you. And Robert and Sandra from Mexico, love it. And Michael and Kevin, love the inclusion of self-introspection in one's life. I find it necessary to stay balanced. Yes, definitely, Kevin. And thank you so much for sharing there. I'm totally with you on that you definitely need to have that balance between intimacy and depth with another person, as well as a healthy relationship and independence with yourself. That ultimately is the interdependence. Thank you so much. And Lauro, nice to have you. And Tiger from Malaysia. And Ted, awesome. And Jen, great advice about people that pass. I lost my best friend at 21. Yes. From that moment, I decided to honor her life and live mine to the max. That is so beautiful, Jen. And you've just brought up such a great point that definitely when we can make the passing of somebody in our lives, their life matter in that particular way, like you've done, Jen, that you decided to honor her life, to live your life to the max. wow, what a shift, you know, how much more energizing is that, rather than feeling like the loss and, you know, and feeling bad and negative about that loss. So thank you so much for sharing your experience there, Jen. That's totally inspiring. Love that you're here. And guys, that really is my message for today. I have enjoyed so much having you guys here, your interaction, your brilliance, your amazing questions that you keep sending through. I just appreciate each and every one of you so very much. You give me a platform to do what I love and to hopefully contribute to your lives and add some value, which ultimately leads to me feeling totally fulfilled as well. So much love to each and every one of you guys out there. If you do have a great question like Lucy sent through, or anything about any topic, I love being challenged by your questions. They energize me so much. So definitely send them through, and I will definitely do a Facebook Live for you dedicated to your question, because I know if you've got the question, it's going to be valuable for somebody else as well, because we are all connected in that way. We're not alone. So much love to each and every one of you. I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, and everything brilliant. And I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow.